Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our 2023 Global DEI Conference, a transformative platform for diversity, equity, and inclusion, presented by Ludo and powered here on the One Business World platform. Thank you for joining us for a dynamic convergence of global thought leaders and change makers as we foster equity and shape our future together. We're now pleased to welcome to our conference Jonathan Ochart. He is joining us today from Los Angeles. He's the founder and CEO of the Postcard Agency, and his topic is owning your identity. Jonathan, good afternoon. Welcome.
Hi, Glenn. Thank you so much for the introduction.
Let me hand it off over to you.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you all for your patience today. I really appreciate you all being here. So as Glenn mentioned, my name is Jonathan Ochart, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Postcard Agency. And before I dive into the topic of owning your identity, I wanted to share a little bit about myself so you know who's speaking right now. So again, my name's Jonathan. I started the Postcard Agency about 6 years ago, and we're an award-winning marketing and PR firm based in Los Angeles. And we support clients across industries all around the country, from PBS to Smoothie King to Miami Beach Pride and the National Bleeding Disorders Foundation. So throughout my years as CEO of a marketing agency, I've learned that owning your identity is a surefire way to building your brand in a way that really resonates with your target audience. And in marketing, we all know that it's all about creating content that resonates with our audiences, right? But beyond just thinking about your target audience, when you're owning your identity, you're also building a business and a brand that resonates with you as a business leader, which makes a big difference when you're spending hours and hours of every single day investing in your business. So when it comes to owning your identity, there is a level of vulnerability that is required. And it requires a good look in the mirror, which is hard for all of us, whether we see the good, the bad, the ugly. But when you embrace the characteristics that make you one of a kind, you're already on the path to unleashing your full potential. So let's get started. Before you can own your identity, you first must understand who you are as an individual, as a business leader, as someone in your community. I'm sure many of you have probably read the book by Lewis Carroll or the film Alice in Wonderland. And after Alice falls in the rabbit hole, she encounters the caterpillar who asks her, "Who are you?" And you have to keep in mind Alice is a young girl at this time, but she doesn't know how to answer the caterpillar. She says, I'm not sure who I am. Because before this moment, she never really had to think about who she was and what mattered to her and what was important to her or where she belonged in her community. So we're always placed in different positions in different places of life where we're encountered with the question of who are you, whether it's what's your name, where are you from, what do you do? So when you hold that mirror up and you take a look at who you yourself are, that really helps you understand what makes you unique. So once you understand who you are, you're going to have a leg up on the competition because you can clearly convey your core differences and what makes you unique compared to everybody else. So it's never too late to take a deeper look as to who you are. And a really good way to start, if you're not sure how, is to just either journal down or ask yourself some questions. I like to always start with asking myself or asking our clients, what are your values? So what's really important to you? What matters to you on a day-to-day basis? What are your interests? What are your hobbies? What do you like to do on your free time? When you're giving back to the community, what kind of organizations are you involved with? What kind of organizations are you spending time with? You can also look at experiences that have shaped you into who you are today and how you run and operate your business. You can also look at what stage of business and what stage of life you're in right now and how that impacts the way you operate and lead your business. So maybe if you're at the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, you're like this caterpillar and you're just starting out. You're involved with different organizations, you're knocking on doors, maybe literally and figuratively, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get your business to the next level. Or maybe you are in the metamorphosis stage. You're in a cocoon. You've worked really hard, but you're taking some time. You're stepping back to figure out what your next move will be. You're ready for that next level of growth and you're ready to figure it out, but you're taking it slow and steady because maybe that's worked for you in the past. And of course, there's always the butterfly. So you've put in the work, you want to enjoy the fruits of your labor, and it's just very easy for you to fly from opportunity to opportunity. So again, this is just a symbolism building on the Alice in Wonderland analogy. So depending on where you are in your entrepreneurial journey, you can already see that there's a story that can be told with where you are standing right now. And when you understand who you are, not just as a business owner, but also as an individual, it's much easier to recognize your strengths. And your strengths also give you a leg up on the competition, and they make you stand out in meaningful ways when conveyed properly. So we're going to continue with the symbolism here. Maybe you're like the sun as a leader. You're bright, you're cheerful, you inspire others to see the light within themselves and to be their best. You nurture their growth. Or maybe you're like a lion. You're courageous, you're agile, you're always chasing for your dreams and making things happen and encouraging others to follow your lead. Or maybe you're like a palm tree and you're just growing, 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 always reaching for the sky, but not forgetting those who are around you, and you're providing shade and respite to those who need a little break. So once you know your strengths, you can then play to them in your marketing strategy. And I'm going to talk about myself for a little bit, because who better to talk about owning your identity than speaking about yourself? It took me a while to recognize what my strengths were. It really wasn't until a year or two into running my own business that I really understood what my strengths were and how they separated me from others in my field. So when I started my business, I already knew that I was a hard worker, that I was detail-oriented, that I was creative, I had a wild imagination. And while those are great strengths, I didn't pay much attention to core pieces of my identity that have made my business grow to the next level in ways I never expected. And those are, one, I'm a member of the LGBTQ community. Number two, I'm Hispanic, Latino, Puerto Rican. And three, I was an Army brat. So my dad was in the military and I grew up moving around every couple of years, which allowed me to experience people from different cultures and different countries. So when I first started my business, those three elements of my core identity were nowhere to be seen or nowhere to be said when I was speaking with clients or prospects. You would not see that kind of content on my website. One reason for that is that some people that I spoke to while I was planning on starting my business advised against incorporating those elements of my identity into my business because they thought that it might pigeonhole me to just solely work with clients in those spaces. But we live in a completely different world now where diversity and inclusion and equity are celebrated and sought after. And with that being said, by sharing these strengths that are part of my core unique identity, it's acting like a magnet to bring in other prospects and clients and employees who share similar values. So again, while you might think that if you're part of a certain community, if that might be a disservice, it really is your strength. So really, I want to emphasize that you should incorporate that throughout your marketing channels, your sales efforts, etc. And we will walk through that in just a couple of minutes. So once you know your strengths, it's that much easier to play to your strengths. So maybe you start off just walking on solid ground, taking it easy, playing it safe. And then as you're starting to learn how to fly and spread your wings, it might get a little awkward, but you'll find that once you play to your strengths, you will start to fly, and other people who share those values with you will want to work with you and join your journey. So now for the part that you've all been waiting for, is learning how to own your identity. Now that you know who you are and you know what your strengths are, you can then start owning your identity. And that looks different for everybody, depending on what your experiences are and what your identity is. But let's start with owning your identity on your marketing channels. Again, it's a really good exercise for every business to know their mission and to know their values. And if you are a business owner or entrepreneur, chances are you're going to want to incorporate some of your personal values and goals into your business's mission and brand value statement. So write down those items on a piece of paper and then work with your marketing team to develop a mission and values page for your website. And that just allows prospects, employees, current clients, the media to find you and to learn more about what you stand for as a business. If you optimize that content with competitive keywords that are relevant, again, that makes it that much easier for people who are looking for your expertise and your services to find you. If you keep everything silent and kind of hidden, you won't be opening that door for people who align with your vision and values to find you. So similar to creating a page on your website for a mission and values, you can also create blog content that ties into what you stand for. And again, when you optimize your blog posts with competitive keywords and relevant keywords your audiences are searching, that allows them to find you that much faster. And you might wonder, what kind of content would I write about for a blog? One great way is to do Q&As with members of your team or yourself or members of your community, and ask them, what do they do to give back? What do they stand for? What's their expertise? Give them an opportunity to shine and share what matters to them. That just creates a really nice feeling of community and engagement. Again, not just for yourself, but for your clients and your employees. Another really great opportunity for business owners to own their identity is to get certified in organizations and spaces where you can get certified in ways that align with your identity. So again, using myself as an example, I'm a member of the LGBTQ+ community. So I am a certified LGBT-owned business by the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. And by getting that certification, I have a supplier diversity number that I can provide to prospects who are seeking diverse suppliers specifically. That opens a whole new door and so many new opportunities to prospects. So again, you'll find that when you own your identity and you get a certification, maybe as a minority-owned business, or even in a technical skill that you are a pro in, that can really help you get a leg up on the competition. So I want to also mention that, and this is kind of what I mentioned a little bit earlier, but when you communicate and convey your values and your mission and your identity, that makes it so much easier for prospects to find you. You'll see here this little briefcase, which symbolizes clients and work. I want to emphasize that right now it might seem like I'm saying that you're just talking about yourself all the time. And it's not about that. It's not about me, this is what I care about. You also want to open the door to have conversations with prospects and clients about what's important to them. So what causes do they stand for? What skills are they seeking when they're trying to work with a partner? As you already do in your conversations, build rapport, but build rapport by asking your clients what they believe in and what they stand for. And that will allow you to find some common ground and to just start a really nice organic conversation. You've heard me talking about giving back to the community quite a bit already in this session, but it's really important. So giving back to your community and just being involved in your community is another great way to own your identity. And some ways to do that is to volunteer with organizations that align with your values. So again, maybe your line of work is related to saving the environment, or maybe making the world a cleaner, happier, more beautiful place. So you might want to organize some beach trash pickups or picking up trash in your local park. There are so many different ways where you can be creative to align your vision with the ways you interact with your community. Again, this is another great place to engage your employees and engage your team. So you can also have a paid volunteer day where you give your team members the opportunity to volunteer and take pictures, record video. This is great marketing content for you to show that you're not just talking about your mission and values, but you're actually putting them into action. You're not just talking, you're walking the walk. As many of us know, a lot of corporations and companies say they stand for something, but then they do something completely different and opposite of what they say they stand for. We saw a lot of that with Pride Month campaigns this year specifically, where, for example, a lot of retailers just decided to completely shut down their Pride campaigns due to protests. So when audiences see that, they consider you to be disingenuous. So again, even though it might seem like you're building yourself up and you're just talking about yourself, it is important to back up what you say you stand for. So take pictures, record videos, and incorporate that in your social media, your email marketing, your blogs, your website. Make it known that you are a part of your community. And last but not least, as we know, running a business is such hard work. It takes a lot of time. Sometimes we're up till the wee hours of the night into the morning, getting work done, building our brand, building our business, and providing great service to our clients. But it's important to just have fun. Being yourself does require vulnerability, but it should also be fun. It's an adventure, and we're constantly growing. We're constantly changing. So when you align your brand with matters that mean something to you, it allows you to do work that is meaningful and impactful, and ultimately, it makes all your hard work that you're doing right now worth it. And that concludes my session for right now, but I would love to open the floor. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Jonathan, thank you. Thank you very much. Great set of slides. Great talk. Thank you. Thank you for sure.
Of course.
I like the fact that you talked about, I'm going to use the wrong word, but broadcasting your mission and values. I think that's really important, because as you said, how would they know where to find you, right? If you didn't get out, if you didn't put it out there as to who you are, what you're about, and really you're opening three questions, right? Who are you? Know your strengths, and then playing to those strengths by broadcasting those missions and those values out there to the community at large. They have a better chance of engaging with you.
Exactly.
I've worked in accounting and consulting for years, and we've had one of the places had a paid volunteer day. It was called Connect Day, and it was always in like towards the end of September in New York City, and it was great. Everybody got a branded shirt where everybody knew where we worked, and out we went. Right. I often did junior achievement in some of the schools in Queens, different sections. Other people went to Central Park and cleaned it up. Other people went to St. Vincent de Paul, whatever the case may be. And it was such a great way to build that community, to get people, a lot of times, and it wasn't just, oh, well, go with the team members you always work with. It was kind of like spin the bottle. It was like, okay, here's the 14 people that are on this team, and maybe I knew one of them, perhaps. And it was a great way to build teamwork, to get to know the people that you work with or who you surround yourself with. And it was a great way for the community then to see, wow, you guys really work together really well. And it used to set such a great example. I always enjoyed doing that. The junior achievement part. I remember one year I was on one of the teams, and I was part of maybe the fourth grade, and we were doing whatever the program was. It was a bilingual school in Queens, so half the week they did in English, half the week they did in Spanish, over by Kaufman Studios. And I remember the next year I got to go back as the quote unquote executive leader, right? So I was kind of running and what I found really worthwhile was I didn't necessarily present in any class, but I traveled amongst the classes. And what I always tell people was, what was fascinating to me was when I got into the fifth grade class, that was my fourth grade the year before, and some of them remembered me. So it was always
nice.
one of those nice kind of pieces for sure. Hey, you talk about building the brand and being vulnerable to it, my wife has an Alice in Wonderland mug at home. She's
nice.
A cat. Well, she's got the
Cheshire cat.
But yeah, it's how often should we re-examine those questions? or I mean, just because we've answered them once, do you think it's a continuous type of or evolving question, or should we go back and re-examine it from time to time?
It's a really great question, Glenn. So as you mentioned, we're kind of just growing all the time. We're learning new things about ourselves. The world is constantly changing. I mean, just with the evolution of AI kind of taking over this year has put businesses in a whole other world. One where people are actually craving human interaction. So it's important to constantly, maybe, every few months, just look at your website, look at your brand, look at your logo, look at your colors, look at your brand voice, and just feel it out. Does this still resonate with us as a business? Does this still represent who we are based on the conversations we're having internally and with clients? That will really help you understand if you're relevant, if that you resonate with what people are looking for in the moment. But beyond that, styles change. We were in a world where really ornate logos were in style, and then we have minimal, very simplistic logos taking over. So styles change, values change. Like, as I said, when I started my business, diversity, equity, inclusion wasn't something people talked about as often as it is now. So things change, and I would advise at least once a year for the brand team to connect with the executives and figure out if they need a brand refresh or even just a brand overhaul to make sure that their company aligns with where the world is right now and where their clients want to be.
Jonathan, when you interact with some of your customers and your clients, as you're doing your due diligence with them, and it's a two-way street, right? As you work with them and on building brands or updating them, how important is listening as part of your work?
Another great question. Listening is the most important element, because by listening, you're able to absorb and really understand what your client is saying, and you're able to understand what their audiences want and crave. So I always say good work and a great brand, it requires 95% listening on the agency part. We're not here to tell clients who they are, but we can give them the tools to help them ask those tough questions. Like I mentioned, what are your values? What do you stand for? What experiences have shaped you and the way you run your business? When we ask those questions, we open the door for really great conversations that allow us to pull tidbits as to who their identity is and what they stand for. But listening is so much more important than talking and speaking. And I really recommend that even on the non-marketing side, whatever type of business you're in, especially when you're doing sales and you're speaking with a prospect, spend your time listening and ask those open-ended questions and just really pay attention to what the other side is saying to help you provide the exact solution that they're looking for.
No, terrific. That's absolutely terrific. How about maybe one last question? How about what kind of current challenges do you see as the world continues to evolve? Where sometimes do you get frustrated?
Well, I think a space all of us as business owners and just people in general are faced with artificial intelligence, AI, especially as a marketing agency when you see that you can just write a sentence and here's a blog post that normally it would take a human to write. Usually that would be a service that we would be hired for. If AI is telling you that you can create a blog post in 10 seconds, that clearly creates a struggle between the marketing agency world and the public. But beyond that, I think people are already seeing some warning signs with AI. We saw that with the writer's strike in Hollywood. We've seen that even with the actors too, with protecting their images. So I think going into the future, while AI can be a great tool for maybe research purposes, medical purposes, things like that, it doesn't take away the creativity and the imagination that we as humans have and that we bring to the table. So I think going into the future, we're really going to have to emphasize, again, our identities. Because AI, it's a robot. AI is technology, which is great, but it cannot duplicate us as human beings, as individuals. AI does not have the experiences we've had. So that's going to allow us to further just separate ourselves from the rest of the pack.
Right. The I might stand for intelligence, but it doesn't stand for identity.
It sure
Absolutely.
doesn't. I love that. You should
Absolutely.
trademark that.
Absolutely. Jonathan, well, listen, thanks for joining us today. Outstanding talk and great graphics. Congratulations on all your wonderful work here at the Postcard Agency. And thanks for being such a valued contributor here to our DEI conference.
Thank you, Glenn. I really appreciate you for having me, and thank you all for joining.
Wish you all the best in the future. Please stay in touch, okay?
Will do. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.